The Northern Dvina is a river in northern Russia flowing through the Vologda Oblast and Arkhangelsk Oblast into the Dvina Bay of the White Sea. Along with the Pechora River to the east, it drains most of northwest Russia into the Arctic Ocean. It should not be confused with Western Dvina. The principal tributaries of the Northern Dvina are the Vychegda, the Vaga, and the Pinega. Etymology. According to the Max Vasmer's Etymological Dictionary, the name of the river has been taken from the Western Dvina River. The toponym Dvina does not stem from a Uralic language. However, its origin is unclear. Possibly it is an Indo-European word which used to mean river or stream. In the Komi language, the river is called Dvina from Vyn power and Virginia water, river, hence powerful river. In Finnish, the river is known as Vienanjoki or Vienajoki, which means slowly running river and is the feminine form of Dvina, meaning the same. Physical geography. River basin. The length of the Northern Dvina is 744 kilometers. Together with its major tributary, the Sukhona, it is 1,302 kilometers long, about as long as the Rhine River in Central and Western Europe. The area of its basin is 357,052 square kilometers, about the size of the western state of Montana in the United States. The river basin of the Northern Dvina include the major parts of the Vologda and the Arkhangelsk Oblasts, as well as areas in the western part of the Komi Republic and in the northern part of the Kirov Oblast, and minor areas in the north of Yaroslavl and Kostroma Oblasts. The cities of Arkhangelsk and Vologda, as well as many smaller towns, many of those of significant historical importance such as Veliki Ustyug, Totma, Vychegda, and Kolmogry, are located in the river basin of the Northern Dvina. The Northern Dvina Basin is roughly T-shaped. The 558 kilometers long Sukhona River flows east and joins the basin of the west-flowing Vychegda River long. The combined river flows northwest into the White Sea, which it joins near the city of Arkhangelsk. Looking more closely, the Sukhona flows east and meets the north-flowing Ug River at Veliki Ustyug. The combined stream, now called the Northern Dvina, flows north about 60 kilometers and receives the west-flowing Vychegda at Kotlas and then turns northwest to flow into the White Sea. The Sukhona-Vychegda was an important east-west transportation route, while the Northern Dvina-Ug was a north-south route. The upper Sukhona is now connected by the Northern Dvina Canal to the Volga-Baltic waterway, which links Petersburg to Moscow. River course. The Sukhona River flows east, eventually northeast, joins the north-flowing Ug River at Veliki Ustyug and acquires the name Northern Dvina. The P-157 highway connects Kostroma with Kotlas via Nikolsk and Veliki Ustyug. North of Veliki Ustyug, the highway runs on the left bank of the Northern Dvina. The river flows about 60 kilometers north, crossing from the Vologda Oblast into the Arkhangelsk Oblast, where in the city of Kotlas it receives the west-flowing Vychegda River, which rises in the northern Ural Mountains. Since at the confluence the length of the Vychegda is greater than that of the Northern Dvina, the river between the source and the confluence with the Vychegda is sometimes known as the Lesser Northern Dvina. Shortly downstream from the confluence, the Northern Dvina is crossed by the railway connecting Konosha with Kotlas and Vorkuta. The Northern Dvina turns northwest and receives a number of smaller rivers such as the Uftuga and the Nizhnya Utoymat, both from the northeast. Near the urban settlement of Bereznik, the Vaga River comes in from the south. At this point, the M8 highway, which runs from Moscow through Vologda to Arkhangelsk, also enters the region. The Yemtsa River joined from the southeast, with the P1 highway running parallel. The Pinega River, formerly an important river route, joins from the east. Near the mouth of the Pinega, the river splits into several channels, among which is the ancient Selo of Kolmogorye 75 kilometers southeast of Arkhangelsk. The branches rejoin and pass the modern logging town of Novodvinsk. Downstream from Novodvinsk, the 900 square kilometers delta begins. In the upstream part of the delta, the great port of Arkhangelsk is located. It gradually replaced Kolmogorye as the chief city of the region. On the southwest side of the delta is the naval base of Severodvinsk, the second largest city in the region. The delta ends in the Dvina Bay of the White Sea. The river flows through Velikostyugsky district of the Vologda Oblast and through Kotlaski, Krasnoborky, Verkhnetoyemsky, Vinogradovsky, Kolmogorsky, and Primorsky districts of the Arkhangelsk Oblast. All administrative centers of these districts are located at the banks of the Northern Dvina, as they developed when the river was the major transportation route of the region. Navigation and canals. In summer, the entire length of the river is navigable and is heavily used for timber rafting. The Northern Dvina Canal connects it with the Volga-Baltic waterway. In the 19th century, a short-lived Northern Ekaterinsky Canal, now abandoned, connected the Northern Dvina Basin with the Kama Basin as well. In 1926–28, a canal connecting the Pinega, one of the major tributaries of the Northern Dvina, with the Koloy, was constructed. However, currently the canal is pretty much neglected. History. The area was originally populated by Finno-Ugric peoples and then colonized by the Novgorod Republic. The only exception was Veliki Ustyug, which was part of Vladimir Suzdal Principality. The rest of the Northern Dvina Basin was controlled by Novgorod. Veliki Ustyug has been first mentioned in the chronicles in 1207, Shenkursk in 1315, Vychegda was founded in the 14th century. In the 13th century, the Novgorod merchants already reached the White Sea. The area was attractive in the first instance because of the fur trading. The main waterway from Novgorod into the Northern Dvina was along the Volga and its tributary, the Sheksna, along the Slavyanka River into Lake Nikolskoye. Then the boats were taken by land to Lake Blagoveshchenskoye. Further downstream along the Porozovitsa River into Lake Kubanskoye and further to the Sukona and the Northern Dvina. For the Northern Dvina, there were a number of ways into the basin of the Basin. One was upstream the Vychegda and the Yaringa, and by land into the Vashka. Another one was upstream the Vychegda, the Vym, the Yelva, then by land to the Erva and to the Basin. Two further options included going upstream the Pinega and then by land to the Koloy and to the Basin, or using the Pukshenga and the Pokshenga rivers to get to the Pinega, and then from the Yezhuga taking boats by land to the Zyryanskaya Yezhuga and the Vashka. For the Vychegda, the merchants also could get directly to the river basin of the Pechora via either the Cheria and the Ijma or the Malva. For the 14th century, Kolmogorye was the main trading harbour on the Northern Dvina, but in the 17th century it lost this distinction to Arkhangelsk, even though the seat of the Kolmogorye and Vaga eparchy, from 1732 known as Kolmogorye in Arkhangelsk eparchy, which had jurisdiction over all northern Russia including the Solovetsky monastery, was located in Kolmogorye until 1762. Until the 1700s, Arkhangelsk was the main trading harbour for the sea trade of Russia and Western Europe, and the Northern Dvina was the main trading route connecting the central Russia with Arkhangelsk. Peter the Great drastically changed the situation by founding St. Petersburg in 1703, thus opening the way for the Baltic Sea trade, and by constructing the highway between St. Petersburg and Arkhangelsk via Kargopol. The river quickly lost its role as the leading trading route, which was accelerated by the construction of the railway between Vologda and Arkhangelsk between 1894 and 1897. The Northern Dvina was scene of several battles during the Russian Civil War, many involving the Entente Interventionist Army as part of the North Russia campaign. A special Northern Dvina flotilla existed during the Civil War. For the 1950s, the Northern Dvina was heavily used for timber rafting. Heavy commercial passenger navigation has largely disappeared and only local passenger lines remain. The passenger line connecting Kotlas and Arkhangelsk has been out of operation since 2005.